Folks, BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, college basketball, UFC, and the NHL, baby, BetOnline is your number one sports betting source for the new year. Every touchdown to three-pointer and hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. Enjoy the show. Folks, we're back and we have a Philadelphia team headed to a championship. And I'll tell you what, we're feeling pretty darn good about that, aren't we, Quigs?
We're feeling very, very, very good. So good, in fact, that Steve, you know what I did tonight to celebrate?
What was that? It's a Tuesday night, for the record.
It is a Tuesday night. So the Eagles won 2 days ago at the time of this recording. You know what I had today to celebrate? A chicken Caesar salad for dinner. With some croutons.
There you go. Well, you know, you were at like a dive bar in Manayunk the other night, so that's what happened.
Dude. So, all right, I actually want to know, I want details on what your Sunday was, because I went to Guam, aka Manayunk, and I watched the game over there at a bar called the Brass Tap, which is a chain of bars.
Oh, wow.
Because there's a Brass Tap in Richmond, where I'm from.
So you had to go somewhere comfortable, somewhere you knew?
No, so we're driving by and we saw this tiny place, and I was like, oh, that looks like a fun little bar. And then we go down and I read the sign. I was like, wait, the Brass Tap? And like the Brass Tap that's in Richmond is like it's kind of big. It's not like a huge bar, but like it's the size of like a, you know, like Buffalo Wild Wings or something, you know. But the one we went to was very intimate and very small. And it was like totally different. And I didn't realize that the Brass Tap is a chain, but like,
is it a chain or is it a bar that gets the same name over and over in different cities?
I mean, it could be. I think it was the same logo, and you're right. It could be just the same exact bar. I don't know. But
yeah, but it's probably, that is strange though. If it's a chain, it's completely different. But hey, yeah, as long as you had a good time watching the game, that's what matters.
Great time. Like, it was awesome. Where were you for the game?
I was at home. I bought a huge TV. Well, it was whatever the Christmas before last. That was our gift to each other, me and Em. Our Christmas gift was we got a huge TV, and it was for such occasions as this run from the Philadelphia Eagles right here. So we stayed home. We did the same thing we did for the previous couple games where we made food. We've been making chili. Chili is our basically our Eagles power food. We made chili every game in the run in 17-18. And we continued with the tradition this time. This time we actually made, we had 3 different chilies available. I got one from work, and we made a chicken poblano chili and a veggie chili. So had a lot of chili.
I didn't realize how old you were. I didn't realize you were like alive in the year 17-18. How's it feel being like 200 years old?
Feels all right. It could be better. I've seen, you know, I'm a little dismayed by what's going on, but you know, hey, I'm here. 2017-18, the Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl run. We got sick of chili by the end of that run, but so far so good. We've been keeping the variety up, but yeah, we had some friends over, and it was a darn good time. I've been a little sick, so I couldn't go too hard. I ran down to Broad Street, did like a block, and headed back, which is good. No fireworks scars this time, so that's good.
Yeah. Oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah, dude. Like I was basically, with me being in Maine, like I didn't want to be driving because driving anywhere was going to be a huge pain in the ass.
Just ask Paul George from the 76ers about that.
I know that video of him in the car, and everyone's like on his shit.
That was so fucking funny. Like Paul George had no idea that, I guess, Eagles fans like just flood Broad Street after big wins, because like he wouldn't have been driving down there if he had any idea.
No. So that was funny, but I was Ubering back, which, by the way, Ubering that whole day, awful, because each Uber was like $50.
Of course.
Crazy. So
demand was super high, I bet, because like everybody was doing what you were doing. They didn't want to drive anywhere. They didn't want to drink and drive.
Was Ubering, yeah. So like I Ubered to Manayunk, watched the game, Ubered back, and then I took, like, once I got dropped off, I was like, you know what I need to do? I got to go to Broad Street. Like, there's no there's no way I can't go. And so I didn't, like, none of my friends were going, but I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go. I don't care. I'm going to go by myself and just walk around and just take in the sights and sounds and possibly climb some shit. And so, like,
If you're a Philly sports fan and you haven't had like the proper Broad Street experience, like I feel like you got to do it at least once just to like get it in, because like it is something else, man. Like just the sights and like that was my goal on that previous, like the year the Eagles won the Super Bowl, because like when the Phillies won in '08, I was living in the Northeast. I didn't really want to do Frankfurt Cotman because I don't know, there's just something about Frankfurt and Cotman that I wasn't into, which is weird. Like it's ostensibly the same thing for Broad Street, but like I don't know. I was just not into Frankfurt and Cotman. And it's just, I don't know, Broad Street's just got a different feel to it. You know, it's Broad Street, City Hall's there. Like there's just something about it. So like it was a point of mine to get out and do the proper Broad Street experience. And I did that for the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. And what's interesting is when the Eagles made it 2 years ago and when the Phillies had a little bit of it, but like it wasn't as much as you'd think. But when like the Eagles made it a couple of years ago, it wasn't quite the same. You know, the vibes weren't quite where it was this year, where people were like quite doing the full Broad Street experience and everything.
Right.
And this year it was back and I feel great about it. Like I didn't, again, I only got like a block of it this time, but I've done it before, so I didn't quite need it as bad. And look, I've been sick. I've had this like shitty cold for days, so I wasn't messing around. I'm saving myself for the good stuff, hopefully in less than 2 weeks at this point.
Yeah.
Quick,
And that's the thing.
Your first time.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was like my first time. And like, I don't honestly, like, even though that was my first time, I don't totally consider it my first time because like it was just me by myself. Like I was just kind of walking around and like it was great and I was having a great time. But like I have some friends coming up for the Super Bowl. And like if the Eagles win, we're going to Broad Street. Like I told them, I'm like, we're not going to Manayunk. We're going to somewhere in semi-close proximity to Broad Street. And we are staying there. And as soon as we're closing out our tabs at like halftime in preparation, because as soon as that clock hits 0, if the Eagles like are winning, I'm sprinting out the door and I'm literally sprinting up Broad Street, just throwing shit.
You're running Tom Cruise style towards.
I'm just going to start climbing shit. Whatever I can get out.
Fuck that grease. You climb those poles, baby.
To do it. I'm ready to go. Like I have to do it. And like, I feel like I'm not going to start climbing shit. I did try and climb on this dump truck.
That's a tradition right there.
Yeah.
That's one of my most vivid visuals from the walk up Broad Street in 2018 was all the dump trucks they tried to put in the middle of Broad to keep people like, I guess from just like, it might've been more for traffic, but like they put a bunch of dump trucks in the middle. And of course, everybody just got on them and hung out, which is disgusting, but people did it.
Onto shit like that you're not supposed to climb onto. And that's the beauty of it, you know? So I am prepared to possibly break some bones, like get hurt, maybe a hospital trip. But you know what?
I would hope not.
Done. Go Birds, baby. Go Birds. It must be done. I have to do my part.
Depending on how many people you have, you're certainly welcome over for the second half of the game, depending on the size of your party. But we'll have 2 TVs going, the big one and the medium-sized one. We'll have lots of food. We're going to have a good time, and I am pretty close to Broad Street.
I think I remember, I feel like we've spoken about this before, but perhaps not. What is your go-to Super Bowl party food? Because I feel
we got to do the chili again. We're doing the chili again, 100%.
Yeah. But like, so is that your favorite Super Bowl party food? Or
it's not necessarily my favorite, but it's like now the tradition, like it has to happen. Well, I'm getting into it. My buddy. Yeah. I want to dissect your Broad Street experience more though, first off. But I'll talk about the food real quick, but I would like to talk more about your Broad Street experience just because it was your first time. I need your sights and sounds, bud. I got to live vicariously here. But you got to have wings, right? Like it's a Super Bowl party. You have to have wings. Wings are like such a necessary part of the Super Bowl, the Superb Owl experience right there. I like pizza's always good to have. It's not necessarily like a must have, but pizza's good to have.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about either getting some big ass cheesesteaks and cutting them up for guests, or like maybe making or like cheesesteak stromboli or something. I feel like you got to have something cheesesteak based. I feel like you have to have a buffalo chicken dip. That's like a pretty quintessential Super Bowl experience right there. And then I'm trying to think. One of the best things that one of my buddies brought over for the 2018 Super Bowl was they brought a chicken nugget tray, and that shit was gone
Kills.
5 minutes. It did
Yeah.
not last long.
You know,
Also, we're kind of fucking around with the idea of getting a hoagie tray, which would be good. Little Nick's down in South Philly, down in my old neighborhood. Little Nick's, I think, might have my favorite hoagie in the city. Little Nick's is outstanding. Highly recommend to anybody coming into Philly looking for a hoagie, Little Nick's. But I might get a hoagie tray from them. We'll see.
I'm glad you're saying this because I have not really had a hoagie in the city yet. But that needs to happen. That needs to change. Do they have a good chicken parm sandwich, Steve?
Oh, baby, do they?
Yep. All right. I'm going to Little Nick's.
They have a killer chicken parm. They do cutlets like of all sorts. They make a vodka cutlet that rules with like a vodka sauce.
Oh my God. I think there's a photo of it that I just looked at.
It's fucking awesome. Yeah. The Little Nick's is awesome.
Simple chicken parm with pepperoni.
Oh yeah, that's a new thing they just.
Oh my goodness!
They also
make
get
down there.
They make the best veggie hoagie that I've ever had. Also, like they make this veggie hoagie with like eggplant and stuff on it. That is just like, I don't know what it is because I'm normally like I don't care for vegetables, as you can tell by the size of me. But I'll eat vegetables, but like they're not something I actively enjoy. But their veggie hoagie friggin' rules. They just roast everything up like in a great way, and it makes me fall into the Philly accent because I definitely just dropped one when I said roast just now. But
a little bit, yeah,
I did, but I can't help it. You know, Little Nick's is fucking outstanding. So yeah, we might do a hoagie tray. There's a lot of food options up right now. We have a decent amount of people coming though. It's kind of unknown where the cap's going to be. We can only fit so many in the South Philly row home, but you know, we plan on taking in as many as we can because it's going to be a fun time.
Oh yeah, I bet. Like, I'm actually really, really excited that you just brought that up because I have been needing. I'm literally writing this down now. Like, I've been needing to find a good hoagie place. Like, and I am a little spoiled in the fact that I live like a block from Liberty Kitchen.
Liberty Kitchen's very good. Yeah,
dude, in that kale cutlet, like
I have to try that
sandwich, whatever the hell that is, dude. It is so fucking good. It is so good. I love that thing. So, big fan of that sandwich. But I've been wanting a good chicken parm sandwich, and there's I've had a couple. I know that Liberty Kitchen has one, but it was okay. It wasn't like my favorite. There's another place that's near my old apartment called like the Deli or something. It's on like Thompson Street. Went there and theirs was good, but I feel like there's much better. And I feel like
you need a real Italian place. You want a good chicken cutlet.
Yeah, Little Nick's,
a real good chicken parm sandwich. Little Nick's is outstanding for everything though, and it is as old school surly a South Philly experience that you're gonna get. But they're outstanding. Everything's great. Now I want to double back to your Broad Street experience real quick. So you ended up by City Hall though, which is where the maximum chaos happens.
Oh yeah,
and I saw you met one of your favorite Philadelphia celebrities.
Philly Elmo was there walking around. I could, he had his little drum line with him, and they were like doing everything they could to try and drum through like the mass of humanity, and it was just not really working. But I gave him like a $5 tip, and I was like, "What's up, Philly Elmo?"
That's fucking awesome.
Got time for a selfie, and took a selfie with Philly Elmo. I fucking love that man. Or a lady, whoever the hell it is.
Whoever's in that costume, they're doing the Lord's work.
So saw Philly Elmo. I tried jumping on that dump truck, and then someone was like, right as I was getting on, they were just like, "They're about to move," and I was like, "Oh fuck!" So I like dipped out. And then, I was just walking around. This girl fell off the subway station onto the tracks.
Oh no!
And people had to go save her, but she was fine. She was just like, I didn't see her actually fall, but she was literally like, she got up on her feet and she was like, oh my God. And then everyone just like, she was probably drunk and just like fell. So she was fine.
Probably.
But
Probably.
yeah. So it was a good night. It was, I loved seeing the fireworks going off, like right in front of City Hall, like in between the skyscrapers. And then like you can see like the beams of like, firecrackers like smacking off the side of the buildings and everything. It's just very clearly that is not where fireworks are supposed to be set off, but it doesn't matter. Go Birds.
Doesn't matter. Go Birds.
Got to do what
And
you got to do.
it's just such a, I don't know. I feel like Philly is just such a unique sports city in regards to stuff like this, where, I was hanging out with a guy the other night who, like, he's not from Philly. He likes the sports culture, but like he was under the impression that we just like wrecked Broad Street and stuff. And I'm like,
No.
walk with me. Let me show you. And the thing is, like, you might have some litter. Obviously it's a lot of litter, but like, anything that's getting destroyed is not purposeful. It's stuff that like a bus station, maybe because like people sat on it like a bunch of idiots or something, but like people are just out there having fun. Like, it's just joyful.
Do you remember the awning of the Ritz?
Yeah, it was fucking hilarious.
It's like
nobody died, so it's very funny.
No one meant to do that.
No one meant to do that.
But it's what happened. And should people have known that could have happened? Yeah, they should have.
Oh, they absolutely should have. But they were very drunk.
It doesn't matter.
We were all very drunk, and that I just like it's such a unique, fun experience, and just like to see the city brought together like that is so cool. Like,
it's amazing.
And obviously, like the Flyers and Sixers are kind of like third and fourth bananas here as far as like how much people would go out in the streets for them. Right. But I would love to even get like a tenth of that for a Flyers celebration, like even if it's just me and like a handful of my favorite lunatics, because like it's just such a good feeling. It makes you feel good, and it makes you like really see the true power of sports when they're at their best.
Yes, I swear to God, that is so true. Like, me walking to the Girard station, I would like ran up the stairs. Everyone was just like screaming, like just so happy. I'm flying up the stairs. I go through the little gate thing and I'm just kind of like waiting for the train. And everyone who's walking by, they're just like, go Birds. And like total strangers, everyone's talking to each other. Everyone's making each other laugh. It was just, there was no crime that night. Not one single crime was committed that night.
It's just like everybody's like happy. It's so cool. Everyone's so chill. Like, it's awesome. There's just nothing like it.
I thought I saw a statistic that like crime in Philly, the year they won the Super Bowl, like when they like the days following them winning, the crime went down like tenfold or something crazy.
This is how much the city loves sports, and specifically the Eagles. Like, it's true. Yeah. It really is. Everybody's just in a better mood. So it's like, if I was not a 4-for-4 guy, I'd be very envious of this feeling. Like, I do really want to see this for the Flyers someday. It'll never be on the scale, but like, I want that goddamn Stanley Cup parade. I want to feel this for the Flyers. Like, that's one of my major bucket list things at this point, because I've gotten a feel for the Eagles and the Phillies, but
right,
we love the friggin' Philadelphia Flyers, which is why we're here doing this every week. And I want that damn parade experience. I want that communal "Let's Go Flyers" chant with the rest of the people on the streets on Broad Street. Like, I want it so bad. And I know we're going to get into talking about like the path to that today, but like just seeing this, it's like, I'm loving it, but it's also a very small part of me in the back of my head. It's like, when the fuck am I going to see this for the Flyers?
Well, so that's actually a question I have for you. So when the Flyers eventually, I would hope, win the Stanley Cup, how big do you think that celebration on Broad Street would be? Do you think it would be, I mean, it's not going to be to the level.
It's a great question. I really don't know.
Do you think it would, what would that look like?
I think it'd be a lot of people, because people do love a bandwagon, right? People love to jump on something. It's not going to be to this scale for sure.
No,
but I think you'll get a decent amount of people. Now, a parade's a different story. Like, a parade, you're going to get a ton of people regardless.
Yeah,
people fucking love a parade. They love a winner and they love a parade. I'll tell you what, it doesn't matter who's there. I'll be there and I'll be having enough fun for everybody.
Oh yeah.
I'll have
Oh,
like
yeah.
an aluminum foil Stanley Cup I'll have above my head and everything. Like, I'll be ready. And I'm sure there's enough people. There's at least 19,000 other maniacs in this area that would want to be out there. So I'm
Absolutely.
hoping we could get at least like half of those people out there.
Yeah, I would think so. It would be a great time. And like, it just, it makes you wonder, like, how, and I know we're getting into it, but how do we get there? What's it going to be like? And, how long is it going to take? It's just seeing this, it just makes me want the Flyers to be good so much more, because like when the Eagles are good, there's nothing more fun than Philadelphia when the Eagles are good. And when the Flyers, like, I have not seen Philadelphia while the Flyers are good. The Flyers have never been good. Consistently
I will
good.
say the last time that we had anything close to this was obviously 2010 when they were in the Stanley Cup final. I would say even 2012 with the Pittsburgh Penguins series.
Yeah.
The Penguins series in 2012, I watched one of those games from Xfinity Live, and
Crazy.
normally the Xfinity Live crowd is not one for me. That's just not who I am. That was one of the most fun times I ever had as a Flyers fan. That game was insane. Like, that place was packed for that game and people were all into it. So like, it can happen. And it's just a classic, like, if you win, they will come. Like, to put this in perspective, the 1974 Flyers, when they won their Stanley Cup, they estimated 2 million people showed up for that parade. So there are people out there. I mean, again, that's a different era entirely, right? But like, people love a winner. People will jump on board when this team wins again, okay? And they just have to be fun and win. And I think we've said this before, but Matvei Michkov really is your first huge piece of the puzzle in getting there. I would also argue Travis Konecny, if you're trying to get there, like, you're not going to be perennial cup contenders within the next like 2 years, but like, if you have any chance of that, even being like a good competitive playoff team, Travis Konecny is a big part of that, because Travis Konecny is having himself a run right now, a run of seasons. And this season in particular has been very special for him. I think one of the things that's not getting recognized enough, and that's part of the problem in the current sports environment, is like the Flyers are very, very mid at best. And again, they don't really run that important. This town is Eagles, 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 Phillies, Eagles, 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 Sixers, Eagles, 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 Phillies, Flyers. So like, Travis Konecny is not getting nearly enough attention, but like, if we look at his stats right now, I mean, he's still averaging over a point a game, which is just like, for a guy that we were questioning if he was worth his current contract just a few months ago, he's got 58 points in 51 games played. Like, that's outstanding.
He's great. He's having a great year.
He's having a great year. And it's like, I think once Mishkov really starts doing his thing, because like, I was talking about this with Bill Matz the other day. It's like, Mishkov hasn't had a year of an entire offseason training in North America with the Flyers personnel and everything.
Right.
If he looks this good before that, when he isn't used to the NHL pace of play and everything, it's almost scary to think about what he's going to look like once he gets that, once he's used to the pace of the season, and once he's in proper shape for everything. Like, we really could be looking at a monster, and that's like half the battle right there. One of the things I wanted to talk about in association to like the Eagles and the rest of the sports environment is just like, Saquon Barkley has had a transformative year for the Eagles. Like, he has been a superstar. He has had, I would say, easily one of the most dominant seasons of any Philadelphia sports athlete ever.
I think you could argue he's had one of the most transformative years, if not the most transformative year, for a running back, period.
Yeah. Because I don't know if he's gotten it yet, but he's very close to the total record, including playoffs, for like rushing yards in a season. Yeah. And he could have broken Eric Dickerson's record, but they rightfully rested him. And you're seeing the results of that in the playoffs right now, because he's just crushing it.
Here's another thing. Like, he kneeled against Green Bay.
Yeah.
He could have like 50 more yards.
And another touchdown.
He decided, the game's over. Let me just end this game now. Like, I don't need another touchdown. I don't need any more stats. Like, Saquon Barkley right now, this is like the only season by a running back that I look back on and think that might be able to hold a candle to this Saquon Barkley season. is the 2006 LaDainian Tomlinson season where he had like 32 touchdowns.
That guy
Like,
was a monster too. He
that
was
was
unbelievable.
that year that he had, I mean, 1,800 rushing yards. I don't remember how many receiving yards, but like overall, like 32 touchdowns. Dude was out of control. Literally, like that was insane what he did that year. But like Saquon, what he's doing for this full season is like, we haven't seen anything like this in a long, long, long time. And Steve, we talked about it last week. Like, I feel like this whole thing, he's the absolute engine making this thing go. He is so hungry for that Lombardi trophy. And the fact that the Super Bowl is on his goddamn birthday.
How can you not love that?
God,
How can you not love that?
He's going to run for 300.
Also the birthday of noted exciting white Cooper DeJean.
That's right. That
Cooper
is
Sharp
right.
over there, who was at the Flyers game last night with Sidney Brown.
Yeah, him and Sidney Brown.
Yeah, Sidney Brown and Cooper DeJean over at the Flyers game last night. And love, by the way, the cross sport promotion right there. Always a big fan of that. And I wanted to also talk about just the fact that, like, I think Saquon's having easily the most dominant season maybe any Philadelphia athlete's ever had. I wanted to mention some other like notable ones that I just rattled off after like 5 minutes of research. But like, I think about like notable Flyers seasons recently, like Claude Giroux, that 102 points in 17-18. I think that's the last time we could think of a Flyer being dominant in his sport. Should have won MVP, should have won the Hart, just complete crime right there. But Claude Giroux that year was a force to be reckoned with. Wasn't quite where Saquon is this year, who was just moving the earth. But like,
he was good.
That was what a phenomenal year right there. And I feel like we could be talking about Michkov in similar terms in a couple of years. Like, I really do feel good that this is a potential like stud that we have in the works that can help put the Flyers back on the map. Maybe, you know, nobody's going to put it where Saquon is putting the Eagles right now. Like, he is the best running back in the game. He is like a Sports Center highlight reel. He did a hurdle that nobody's ever heard of, a backwards hurdle. It's insane. But like, I think Michkov is going to do stuff that could put the sport on the Sports Center top 10 and like really make it notable for Flyers fans and hockey fans in general, and like bring some people in that might not watch.
Yeah, one day I think you will.
I think a couple years from now he could be doing that stuff when he's going to start hitting those Michigans regularly, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And listen, like, we might not see a ton of Michigans, but like we've already seen, and it's very clear that he's a special player. He's not like, he is not normal. Like, you don't just find a Michkov.
He's not normal. You just don't.
He's going to, like, did he come in and have an Ovechkin season? No, but like it's very clear. Like, Kucherov didn't come in and have an Ovechkin season. You know, Nikita Kucherov's Nikita Kucherov. Like, there's a good chance that he could finish with more points than Ovechkin. So, you know, I think Michkov he's going to be a really, 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 really good player for a long time. He's a rookie. Don't flip out because he's not averaging a point a game.
And good piece, by the way, on BroadStreetHockey.com about his minutes and everything and why he's just doing perfectly good for a guy his age. Michkov's having a great year. Make no doubt about it. He's second on the team in points. And even if he's not getting the minutes he was at the beginning of the season, he shouldn't be getting the minutes he was at the beginning of the season. He's 20 years old.
Yeah, no. I mean, there's a reason why he's, you know, listen, John Tortorella, like, you can say what you want about him. Like, he's not wrong for not putting the rookies out with an empty net situation. You know what I mean? Like, he's not wrong for not throwing Michkov out for the PK. You know, that's very normal. That is not unique to John Tortorella. Most coaches would do the same thing. And like, listen, he's not used to this workload. Like, we've already surpassed the amount of games that they play in the KHL. So, you know, this is a whole new territory for him.
Listen, I've doubted Tortsy a lot, but at this point, he's been really good with the development of the young guys. So I'm kind of through doubting him for the time being.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to make controversial decisions for sure, but like, I don't know. The track record's been pretty darn good to this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, some of the other notable seasons I mentioned here. So 94, 95, and 95, 96, Eric Lindros. 94, 95, when he won the Hart, 70 points in 46 games played, 29 goals, 41 assists. Shortened season, just ridiculous numbers from Big E. And then 95-96, when he didn't win MVP, 115 points in 73 games played, 47 goals, 68 assists. Absolutely unreal.
Who did win MVP that season?
95-96, I want to say Yager or Lemieux. Let's see.
It would not be Lemieux.
Not Lemieux. No, it was Lemieux.
96?
Yeah. When do you think Mario Lemieux played?
I thought he played in the 80s.
He played in the 80s and the 90s, my friend. He played a long time.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm ridiculous. I was thinking the Calder Trophy. I don't know why I was thinking that. I don't know.
No,
I got all screwed
Lemieux had 161 points in 95-96.
Okay, so that's valid. That's that makes sense.
Absolutely, just like one of the most insane players of all time. I mean, some would argue the greatest player of all time. I've heard that argument before.
I have too. Yeah.
Big E actually came in third in Hart voting that year. And by the way, you know how old he was at that point?
How old?
22.
Jesus Christ. Could you imagine being that good at something when you're 22 years old?
I cannot. And it's like the fact that we never.
I mean, even being like Travis Konecny's age.
Yeah,
like, he's only a couple years younger than me, but like, just I can't even imagine being 27, 28 and being like making this kind of money and like doing the things that he's capable of doing. Like, it's wild to me, you know. Like, and then you think about Travis Konecny. Look at like McDavid. Look at some of these other young kids. You know, it's wild. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, I agree. It's just completely nuts to think about. Also, Mark Recchi, 123 points in 84 games played in 92-93. I know Kelly will love that one, but
oh yeah,
Mark Recchi's got the all-time Flyers record right there. So come on.
There's one that I actually want to point out, and I don't know if you were thinking about this one too, but 2004 Terrell Owens was fucking awesome.
Oh,
like
I was there. I remember.
That season was unbelievable. And like, I know he missed a couple games. I think he had a total of like 1,200 or 1,400 yards. I can't remember exactly what it was, but like
Ryan, quickly, I went to 2 games in person that season. The first game was the Monday nighter against the Minnesota Vikings, which was McNabb and T.O. against Culpepper and Moss.
Yep.
Still to this day, the best football game I've ever seen in person. Unbelievable.
It was fun. That game was crazy. And
the second game I went to that year, one where T.O. got horse collared down and got hurt.
Dallas game?
Uh-huh. The most depressing game I've ever been to. It was freezing rain that day. Yeah. Well, but T.O. was unreal that year. And for a team that had just trash receivers to that point, it was dominance. And if he had continued on healthy for the rest of the year, there might have.
Oh, they're winning the Super Bowl.
If they never get hurt, he won the Super Bowl easy. He had a dominant performance on a broken leg in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
Like, he should not have played that Super Bowl, and he did. And he still was just going insane. Like,
he was fucking
unbelievable.
Awesome.
Unbelievable. Yeah. But that T.O. season, I think, belongs up there as well, because that's at that point, that's the best wide receiver the Eagles have ever had. And honestly, until A.J. Brown came here, that T.O. season is the best wide receiver season easily in the history of Philadelphia Eagles football.
Yeah. Yeah. You're 100% right there. Other guys I want to mention here, T.O. is a great one. Bobby Clark, of course, has won the Hart. He's the only other Flyer who's won the Hart for the Flyers. So he's won it 3 times. So Clark, you got to mention. Bryce Harper won MVP a couple years back. Although when I looked back at the numbers, and I maybe forget like some of the, totals of games played and everything that year, they weren't quite as shocking to me as I was expecting. But still a great year from Harp, and can't underestimate how great of a free agent signing that's been. One of my favorite years, dominance wise, from a Philadelphia athlete, though, 2006 Ryan Howard, who won MVP that year, hit 313 for a big man, 58 homers, 149 RBI, just crazy. Unreal numbers. I don't think he ever hit 300 again. It was just like, I don't know what the hell got into him that year, but it was fantastic. And then everybody started the shift, and actually, that was the thing. They started the shift, and his average was never the same.
Yeah. Still, that's a crazy. Like those numbers are nuts. Like 58 home runs. Like
58 home runs. It's like
wild.
It's just wild to think about. Mike Schmidt, I don't know if there's a standout year, just multiple excellent seasons. He won the MVP 3 times. Embiid a couple years had a great year for sure. He was pretty dominant. Dr. J back in 80, 81 when he won, fantastic. And 87 Reggie White was another one I thought of. 21 sacks that year.
That's a good one.
For just one of the great Eagles of all time. But Saquon, I think that really is like, I would argue this is the most dominant season by a Philadelphia, because the only time I can think of when a Philadelphia athlete has almost broken a major record like this, like one of the biggest records, and he could have.
I was thinking about that too. Like if he, like, I mean, I can't, we rarely see Philadelphia athletes win MVP or, rookie of the year or like some sort of end of season award. And the fact that he came very, very, very close to breaking the all-time single season rushing record is crazy. And like, honestly, if they had not like benched him at the end of some games earlier on in the regular season, like I remember, I think it was which game was it? I think it was the Rams game where they could have kept him in the game and let him try and break the single season rushing record set by Adrian Peterson. And he was like, no, let the other guys play. Like, put Kenny in. Let him eat, like, let's see Will Shipley. How about that? How about that? Like,
he's just the best. Like, and I think that's a guy even hockey guys could appreciate, right? Because, like, you want to talk about a guy who's just giving it up for the team, doing it all. Like, come on. Like, just no ego on that guy.
No, none. And it's just, it's crazy that he's as good a football player as he is, and he's like also just an awesome fucking person too.
Awesome fucking dude. Love him. So it's going to be Eagles Chiefs again. We can talk about this more next week. I don't want to bore all our hockey fans to death, but I just need to take Big Charlie's saloon down a peg. All right, those guys are way too confident over there on 11th Street being a Chiefs bar. It's insane to me. So we got to take them down a peg.
I still can't believe that's there. That
it's there, and there's banners all over, but there's also a Flyers like stained glass thing in one of their windows. So
it's bizarre.
It's so weird. But I want to talk more about that next week. Quickly, I wanted to also just mention Josh Harris can kiss my grits. Loses twice in 2 days, so the Commanders got whooped by the Eagles. Just an embarrassing loss. And then the Philadelphia Flyers take down the New Jersey Devils yet again on Monday night. And I don't know how the Flyers are doing it to the Devils this year, my friend, but they've found a way.
You love to see it. I mean,
you love to see
anytime you beat the Devils, it's a good day. It's a really
the Harris group just taking L's from Philly.
Yeah, well, I will say that, you know what? I've been thinking about this. So, we were all up in arms about the whole Josh Harris, owning the Sixers and then also the Devils and obviously the Commanders. I do think it's kind of funny that, like, the day after the Eagles beat Washington, the report comes out that Jeff Lurie's considering buying the Celtics.
Is that? I didn't actually see that. That's really
funny. You didn't see that?
No, I didn't see that.
Jeff Lurie apparently is very seriously considering buying the Celtics.
Jeff, just keep your efforts here on number one.
That's what I think.
Don't spread yourself too thin, my friend.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like,
why don't you buy the basketball team in Philadelphia?
Jeff, he could do that because it's probably not a very good deal right now, but that's the problem.
Probably a better deal than the Celtics who won a championship not too long ago.
It's not a good deal for Josh Harris is what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Josh Harris is going to be like, I don't want to sell low.
As a venture capital guy, he loves a good deal.
He does. So,
hey, whatever. I'm going to give him crap. I don't like him. I don't like it. And I love beating him. So I love beating the Devils, love beating the New Jersey Devils, and was quite a good win for the Flyers there. I don't understand quite why they have one of the best team in the division's number. Like everybody else in the division, they fucking can't figure out. But the Devils, they have like kind of kicked their ass twice now.
Yeah. And you know what? Like the other night, it really seemed like I thought they were going to run them out of the building. I thought it was going to be a complete blowout. because they take that 3-0 lead, then all of a sudden it's 3-1, and you're like, all right, it's 1 goal, it's whatever. And then it's 3-2, and you're like, Jesus Christ, here we go. It's about to happen. And then, they managed to hold him off, and they got that empty netter. I believe it was Scott Lawton who got the empty netter, which that was kind of cool. The fact that he got the empty netter after kind of being away for a little while. It turns out that he had a very sad family situation that happened. So good to see him come back in the lineup and score that goal to kind of clinch the win for them against those goddamn Devils.
Those goddamn Devils. Oh,
Goddamn
time. I love it. They can't figure out the Islanders. They can't figure out the Rangers, but the goddamn Devils.
They got the Devils right now, and that's good.
Yeah. And I'll take whatever little things this team continues to be in no man's land, but little things are helping right now. Jamie Drysdale has really continued his defensive journey, which I've really been happy with. Like, he made some really impressive plays. I saw a great skating effort from him in his own end last night, showing some nifty moves. And like, ever since he had that long break early in the season, like, he's been improving more and more. And I'm really starting to feel some hope that this could turn into a really solid defenseman for the foreseeable future for the Flyers.
I agree. Yeah. Well, you know what, Steve? I'm wondering, because listen, I think we can all agree, like, Jamie Drysdale's got some good offensive skills. He's got some good speed, some good puck skills. But I would like to see a little bit more of a booming slap shot from the point. I'm wondering if we should just do a swap. Move Jamie Drysdale to forward and then move Bobby Brink to defense.
Oh, there
because
you go.
that goal he scored against the Devils, what in the world? Like, he just
Bobby Brink, boom, Brink go boom.
What a shot! What
I gotta say,
point.
I still think the Brinkster's horrible at defense, but hey, dude, he has shown us some prowess on offense this year. Like,
I'm telling you, man,
I think his creativity is fantastic, and he really does have a slapper on him. I'm liking that. They need somebody with a slapper because, like, listen, I love Owen Tippett, but that man misses the net a lot with those big shots.
He does. Yeah.
Yeah, but to have a guy who can have a big blast and score like that is not, like, Michkov's got a pretty big shot too, but it's nice to have a couple guys who can do that, and hopefully they just keep adding to the roster. But yeah, I love that from Brink.
Listen, Bobby Brink, we've talked about this before. Like, Bobby Brink I don't need him to be some sort of defensive god. I don't need him to be Mark Stone type forward where he's
that's Tyson Forster.
Amazing. Like, and that's exactly it. Like, some players just aren't going to be good at defense. You just have to accept that. Like, do you want them to be good at defense? Yeah, of course you do. But like, some of them just aren't going to be. And that's when you just kind of put them with people who kind of complement them. Like that's
Noah Cates and Tyson Forster.
That's the thing. And that's why that line has worked so well.
By the way, you know what their point totals are at right now?
What's that?
Tyson Forster has 23 points. Noah Cates has 22 points. Bobby Brink has 22 points.
Really? So they're all together right there. That's fun.
That balance is wild.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, like, listen, like, sometimes you have to accept that a player is not going to be perfect. You got to let them just lean on what they're good at. I think that's okay. Like, you can't you can't just magically turn water into wine or whatever the hell the fucking phrase is. Like, you just have to kind of let them be who they are. And like, if it becomes such an issue that it's literally hurting the team, then you do something about it. But like, listen, I'm just going to be honest. Like, I don't think Bobby Brink not being the best at defense I don't think that's what's killing the Flyers.
No.
There's a lot of things that are killing the Flyers. It's not that.
It's definitely not that. No, I'm accepting what I see from Brink. Just every now and then I see a big gaffe where I'm like, come on. But it's going to happen. Whatever. If he's producing offensively, I'm cool with it. Now, what if Matvei Michkov becomes a perfect player? Thomas Williams in the BSH Slack just posted this tweet from David St. Louis from Elite Prospects, who said, Matvei Michkov has seriously improved his defense. It's impressive to see in just half a season. So we're talking about the Torts development. Elite Prospects is noticing a lot of, a big uptick in the defense. This man, we give him a lot of shit, but he really can. He can really work some miracles.
Did you see that? I can't remember who tweeted it. It may have been Kurz. It might have been Jackie from the Inquirer. But one of the beats tweeted out that Matvei Michkov was like the first player out on the ice for practice today, and he was out there like way before anyone else. And I think he stayed on the ice after too. I might be making that up. That last
He's
part
going.
up, but
I'm telling you, when he shows up next year, he
he's
is
going to be
going to
different.
be. He is
Yeah,
going to be different. He is going
he's
to
going to be
be
different.
a friggin' beast. Okay,
It's
like
going to be fun.
he doesn't have points in his last three, but he's still second on the Flyers despite everything, which
Yeah.
as a rookie is ridiculous. Like, I am so excited to see what he does next year. Like, he's just exciting to watch. And that's what you're looking for. You know, it's like you get frustrated by the ups and downs from this team. I actually sat in a comments section somewhere the other day, which is not something I typically do, and just kind of observed and saw like some people. This was right after the Avalanche Hurricanes trade,
Right.
and people getting frustrated about the lack of movement. And like, I get it, right? But like, I really have not personally, because I've been very pragmatic about this season. I have not personally thought that this is a season to make a move, like that you really should be making a huge move. I would
Right.
like to talk about in a couple minutes to, our last topic of the show, to talk about like some potential moves the Flyers could make over the next calendar year or so. But this time doesn't strike me as a time to really make a move.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what's interesting about this team right now is like they can go anyway. They can go in so many different directions, and like
Now, don't get me wrong. You get a certain guy. I have one guy in particular I'm thinking about. You won't have any complaints from me about making that big swing. But yeah,
Elias Pettersson.
Elias Pettersson, because hasn't that been an interesting one to follow over there with the?
I would love that.
If you're
I would
not
love
following this, which means you're not connected to the hockey world right now, because it's the biggest story in the hockey world for months at this point. The Vancouver Canucks have had some trouble because JT Miller and Elias Pettersson apparently don't like each other. They don't get along. And they've been talking about trading one of them, which is nuts to me that you'd even consider Pettersson the one to get traded. Miller has a no trade clause, so Miller can dictate where he wants to go. But like, it doesn't sound like Miller's happy. And a couple weekends in a row now, the Canucks have almost had deals worked out, but haven't figured it out. It's just like, it's number one crazy that like, again, you'd consider trading Pettersson of the two of them because like it's Elias Pettersson. But number two, like, you're fucking grown men. Be professionals. Just get along and like play hockey. Like, why is this?
So I heard an interesting take on this. And like, if it's like if the Canucks end up deciding to trade Elias Pettersson, it would be in their best interest to also trade JT Miller because JT Miller is not young. And without Elias Pettersson, like what does your timeline look like at that point? Like, are you seriously expecting to be contending without Elias Pettersson and just JT? Like, don't get me wrong, JT Miller is really, really good. But like, if you don't have Elias Pettersson, that's like a huge, huge piece of your team gone. And how do you you can't really just replace that. You can't just find some guy and plug him in and be like, all right, you're Elias Pettersson now. Like,
right.
So it almost makes you wonder, would it behoove them if they move on from Elias Pettersson? Do they also trade JT Miller? And do they just blow the whole thing up?
Right.
So, I don't know. It's crazy.
I guess the big thing is like at this point, Quinn Hughes is kind of your cornerstone player. And granted, he does lead the team in points. He's got 56 points in 45 games played. And both these vaunted guys we just talked about, JT Miller and Elias Pettersson, both are in the 30s with points with which, to put this in comparison, 20-year-old Matvei Michkov has the same amount of points as JT Miller. How about that? 34 points.
They're definitely underperforming. And I think a lot of that has to do with they fucking hate going to work every day because they're going to see each other.
We all fucking hate going to work every day. We all deal with it. You guys make a lot more money. Deal with it more professionally. Like, I don't know what the hell. I can't even imagine. Like, is it a Lindros Brindamore or somebody slept with somebody's wife situation? Like, what's going on here? Because I don't understand it. But, like, they got it. They're suffering right now in the standings. And they're a team that's underperforming after last year. It's just crazy that it's come to this. But
I actually have a Canucks hat right there.
Oh, there you go.
What was
Which
that?
era Canucks hat is it? Is it? Oh wait, you love the Orca logo. You're a
The
big
Orca
Orca
logo,
guy,
the C. Yeah, yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
Orca.
Yeah, Mr. Orca. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I got that over there because if I had to pick a Western
Ooh.
Conference team, it would be Vancouver.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just crazy that it's all blowing up right now. So
It is crazy. I would absolutely love to take Pedersen off their hands, but from all indications, the Flyers don't have enough. And the
no,
biggest thing is like if they had just draft capital, like yeah, the Flyers can give you plenty of draft capital, but they want more NHL guys now,
yeah,
and that's just something that like the Flyers clearly don't have. They barely have enough NHL guys for themselves. Like
right,
they got fucking Rodrigo Abols starting on the fourth line right now, who has done fine for what he is, but like he's still
yeah,
Rodrigo Abols, like, and like they're guys in the system that like are more ready are guys like, I don't know, Samu Tamala or,
right.
Emil Andre, like not guys that are blowing you away for a Pedersen who's already got a rich contract and like like the thing is like Pedersen is the kind of guy I would love to put together with like a Michkov because he's somebody who could keep up creatively with Michkov.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I think so.
I think that's intriguing to me. But again, like I totally understand why they would, well, especially because like you do have Quinn Hughes who like is very, he's young, but Quinn Hughes is also 25. Like he's in his prime right now. And
Yeah,
you want to strike with this roster while guys are in their prime. I mean, Brock Besser is 27. He's in his prime right now. Like you're a team that like wants to go soon.
right. Ooh. Yeah, no, like, and that's the thing is like if you trade Elias Pettersson, like, yeah, like your cornerstone player in Quinn Hughes, like he's still young, so like you can still compete, but like, I don't
You
know,
want to
it's
be able to
just
retool rather than have to do a rebuild.
right, and that's the thing, and so I'm so curious to see how this all goes down in Vancouver. It's fun. This is like I just love when drama like this happens in the NHL because it so rarely happens. Like the NHL is just so not dramatic and it sucks. I want
It
more
does.
of this. I want dudes beating each other up. I want Torts to fight another coach. I want to see more. I want all of this.
I will say, as as fans of a team that has John Tortorella, the man does not disappoint. Though he
Never.
is like his eyes are bugging out of his skull every other night. It's awesome.
It's so funny. Yeah.
Like he has lived up to every promise of John Tortorella coaching the Philadelphia Flyers that you could imagine.
Right. Yeah. So listen, like that would be amazing if the Flyers could somehow pry Elias Pettersson from Vancouver's cold dead fingers, but I just
Make it work. 3-team deal, whatever it takes.
yeah. I just don't know what they would give up. I have no idea it would have to be like all their draft picks. And
I'm kind of okay with that.
listen, I'm okay for getting rid of all the draft picks. Like I say, like every fucking week, use those draft picks as money.
Well,
As like
I
trade
truly also feel like piece wise on this team, like if you're able to get like an elite center or at least a number one center, like make that happen, whatever it takes to
Yeah.
make that happen, because that's clearly your biggest missing piece. You have wingers, and I'd say you have a pretty good defense right now, even.
Yeah.
Goaltending's a big question mark, and a lot of that is Sam Harrison, who I will give credit. Sam Harrison the past couple weeks has looked solid. He's looked really good. He was great in that Devils game. He was he's been good a couple games. So like Sam Harrison's been one of the stronger points for this team lately. Now, can he keep it going for the second half?
That's
We'll
the
see.
thing. He just needs to consistently do that. And he hasn't been.
He has to be healthy. It's just that simple. So we'll see what happens with him. But I'd say at this point, like the defense is good. Like you still want like a true number one, but that's hard to get. I feel like that you can do more with. Like you can do more with the defense as it's currently set up with than the center situation. And if you can get a Pettersson, great. Obviously, that's really tough to get. I want to throw some quick names out at you that I was looking at are either going to be like UFAs this summer or maybe a potential trade target I'm throwing in there as well. So
Yeah.
now I don't see this guy leaving Toronto, but you never know. John Tavares is supposed to be UFA. I think I saw the contract projection for him at like 3 years, $7 million. Let's say the off chance that John Tavares wants to throw out his Maple Leafs PJs and try on some new PJs, some fly-in P-shaped PJs over there. How would you feel about John Tavares as a stopgap center in the orange and black?
So the first question I'm thinking for each person you're going to throw at me is like, do they fit in the timeline, and like, would it make sense?
Yeah.
I
I'm
don't
even
think
thinking
John
about a
Tavares really.
stopgap. I'm even thinking about some of these guys as like stopgaps until like they can draft another guy or like Jets ready plus like a potential guy they draft this year.
Would it make sense to get a stopgap that makes that much money though?
I don't know. That's what I'm curious about. Like that might not be the worst thing, but I guess it depends on how much you want to compete over the next 3 years. Like
Yeah.
let's say in this case, Danny Briere's like, I would like to make the playoffs next year for TK's confidence, for Michkov's confidence, and to also make Comcast some of their money back because they
Yeah.
demand it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I don't know if
is this
Tavares would be the best option, just because I do feel like he's going to want a pretty big contract. I know he's not what he was. He's past his prime for sure, but he's still a really, really good player. And I think he still would demand like $7 million a year or something. Like,
$7 million was the projection I saw, 3 by $7 million.
yeah. So that
But
seems
that is
like
about the top stopgap timeline, to be honest.
it just seems like it would be a little much for a guy who isn't a long-term part of this, you know?
Yeah, that's fair.
So I don't know. Like
he is having a solid year. He's got
like in the moment. Yeah, I think, I think he would serve that purpose of being like a stopgap guy, but like, I don't want a stopgap guy. I want them to trade or somehow find a guy who's going to be their 1C for years. And like,
sure.
Listen, I know that that's so easy to say, and it's a whole nother thing to actually go and do that thing. But like, that's what you got to focus on, honestly. Like, it's the number one thing that we keep talking about. Get a 1C. You need a 1C. Fucking figure it out.
I guess you're not going to be thrilled by my next suggestion, who's another stopgap guy who's around the same age. Matt Duchene, who's actually had a great career resurgence in the past few years. He's having another solid year for the Stars right now.
I'm just I've never been a huge Matt Duchene guy. I don't dislike him, but it's just I don't know. I'm not into
I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of into it just for like if he'd sign like a year or two, just to kind of, I don't know. I kind of like the idea of giving some talent to these guys who have gone. He's actually the leading scorer on the Dallas Stars right now.
Now, what's his cap hit? Do you have that in front of you?
I will get it up in a second, but I don't.
Because if his cap hit is like, because I believe he actually took a bit of a pay cut because,
to go to
I know
the
that
Stars.
I know he was getting paid quite well, and then he went to Dallas, and I think he took a little bit of a pay cut, or maybe it's due to salary retention or something.
He's making $3 million this year.
Okay, yeah. So like now he would obviously want to pay a raise. How much of that raise would it be? Like how much would he want in that situation? So like if he's like, yeah, I'll come to the Flyers, but it's got to be $7 million. Kind of the same thing with Tavares. It's like, okay, well, I mean, you're not going to be playing at this level for very long, and you're an older guy at this point. Like it doesn't make sense. We're trying to get younger. We're trying to compete for the long haul, not for the next couple of years.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of torn because like part of me is like, well, I don't necessarily mind that, but like I guess it depends on if you have guys in the system that you can actively throw in there to develop or not. Okay, so I have a slightly younger guy over here that is a little bit intriguing. This guy's he's currently 28. How about Sam Bennett from the Florida Panthers?
I think he's an excellent fit for the Flyers. And now, granted, this isn't a guy who would be like, a franchise-changing player. Like he wouldn't come to the Flyers and be a 1C or anything like that. But he's a good player who can play on the he can play on the PK. He can even do power play stuff. And he's just a bastard out there. I mean,
I like a bastard, big bastard fan.
I love a good bastard. And plus, like, he's got a beautiful beard. And Steve, the Flyers have needed a good beard since Ryan Ellis is gone. No more Ryan Ellis. He's on
Sean
Ellis
Couturier used to have a gorgeous beard, and I don't know why he won't give it back to us.
His beard isn't very good anymore. But
yeah,
I think Sam Bennett would be a really, really good fit. And again, I feel like that wouldn't move the needle like too much in the right direction, but I think it would to a little bit. So yeah, I like Sam Bennett. I think he would be a good fit on the Flyers. I think he would be a fan favorite very quickly. And would he set the world on fire for the Flyers? No, but I do think that he would help. He would play an important role for them.
Nice. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Sam Bennett. I'm into that as well. Now, I have a name I'm going to throw out there that's going to be a little bit harder to get, but younger, and I think fits the timeline a lot better and needs a lot better. And I know you're a fan of because you already said it in the BSH Slack earlier today. Marco Rossi.
Yes. I'm moving heaven and earth to get that kid.
Marco Rossi is not a guy that should be available, but I've heard that the Wild don't necessarily, they're not loving the negotiations with him and everything. And like, it might not, he might be available. So if he's available, that seems like a guy that the Flyers could, he might not have the size that you're necessarily looking for. He is 5'9", 182. But this is
he's as strong as a literal fucking ox.
Was it you or Thomas that put in that picture of him like squatting earlier?
It was Thomas, but dude, he literally has tree trunk legs. Like I have been obsessed with Marco Rossi since before he got drafted. So the year he got drafted, I was covering the Minnesota Wild and for SB Nation. And I remember at that time, the Wild needed a center. They were in a very similar situation with the Flyers. Like they needed centers. Like their best center at the time was Joel Eriksson, who has turned out to be like a good center, like a good, solid player, but like he's not amazing at all. And so like he's I don't know. Say what you will about Joel Eriksson. He's not like some sort of otherworldly player. He should not be your franchise center. I'll say that. And basically, I was like, if the Wild are on the clock and Marco Rossi's there and they don't take him, they are the dumbest fucking franchise to ever exist. Like they have to go get Marco Rossi. And they did. And it was so fun just trying to all the articles I wrote, basically just kind of explaining to the Minnesota Wild fan base, guys, this guy's really good. Here's why he's good. Like, look, like, and just explaining like his game to people and like what makes him so good. He's a two-way player. He plays defense. John Tortorella would be in love with Marco Rossi. Marco Rossi is such a high effort player. There's no quit in his game ever. He's high skill, high effort. I'm even seeing him getting into it with players after the whistle now. It's crazy. He's from fucking, I think he's from not Norway. Is it Norway?
It is Austria.
Austria, that's right. He's from Austria. He's getting in people's faces after the whistle. It's amazing. So I'm a huge Marco Rossi guy. I think he could fit on literally any team that you put him on. And I think he would fit in specifically on the Flyers and with John Tortorella. And I just think would he be your 1C? Like, would he be your franchise changing 1C? Maybe not. But I'll tell you right now, he's a set it and forget it 2C for years and years and years and years and years. And you don't even have to think about it. So if he's truly available, if Marco Rossi really is available, if I'm the Flyers and I'm Danny Briere, I'm thinking of making some hard decisions and getting that kid over here.
Yeah, I mean, just because like I feel like you do need to make some hard decisions. You think about like the guys who were featured for this team moving forward as far as the young guys go, and like Michkov, obviously, I would say Tyson Forrester's definitely up there. But then we talk about Morgan Frost a lot, about a guy that like doesn't seem like he's long for this franchise. Like he could still be here for like 2-3 more years, but it just doesn't feel like he's long for this franchise because
right.
He probably should be a winger somewhere. He probably shouldn't be your number one center, your number two center. Marco Rossi is a guy you could be as your number two center for sure. Yes. And we need Couturier. Yeah. I like Couturier playing 3C right now with Michkov and Farabee. I think that's actually a really good role for him at where he is in his career. So to get guys that can help that would be huge. One last name I'm going to throw at you, who you might not be as familiar with as you are with Marco Rossi, but I was intrigued by this one. I believe our new friend Kyle over at BSH threw this out there. Wyatt Johnston, who is
I like Wyatt Johnston a lot. Now,
I'm
the
a big
thing with
fan.
Wyatt Johnston is that he's also very, very young. He's underperforming a little bit this season, but I don't think there's any doubting his skill and his upside and his potential. I think it would take a lot to get him from Dallas.
That's
I
the
don't
thing.
think
He's going to
it
be an
doesn't seem like
RFA, and the thing is, like, you can make offer sheets and everything, but they're probably just going to match it. He's a great young player. I think
he's really good.
Rossi is a guy you could see them like getting, but like Johnston, like the Stars would be kind of nuts to get rid of him. To be honest with
It
you,
would be dumb. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think it would make sense
But
for the Stars to trade.
he is a good young player, man. He is
Yeah.
he's 6'2", 184, and he's only 21. So like
Yeah.
he's got 39 points in 49 games played this year. So if he's underperforming, that's some damn good underperforming right there.
Right. Yeah. This
Yeah.
would be like the Stars, like
This one's like a
Patrick
wish list one right there. Like that's like a dream. Like the Stars just went nuts.
This would be a Stars Patrick Sharp situation where, like what the Flyers did with Patrick Sharp, like they just gave up on him way, way, way too soon.
Never forget.
And that's it would not make sense for the Stars to give up on Wyatt Johnston right now. He had a great season. There's literally no like he's playing his numbers aren't what they were, but listen, you don't give up on a 21-year-old with that kind of skill, that kind of upside.
Yeah, that one's more the wish list one. That would be very cool. There's a lot of wish list guys out there. Pedersen and Johnston are like my wish list guys, but
Marco
Rossi's
right
a great like realistic like
he's right
wish list like could actually happen. So, I'm not expecting anything to happen anytime soon, but never say never. I mean, Eric Tulsky, I forget which news source had it, but talking about this Rantanen trade, like Tulsky is like, this was in the works for a really friggin' long time, and it just happened. And I think people underestimate how long some of these deals take to make. Like they're not all LaShawn McCoy getting traded to the Buffalo Bills where Chip Kelly just calls him up and goes,
yeah,
hey, you want LaShawn McCoy?
Yeah.
I would like this shitty linebacker. Done. That's an anomaly.
I still can't believe that happened.
I love to hear females only LaShawn McCoy tell that story because he's
females only.
He's very, very pissed off about it.
Yeah.
What a weird combination of everything there. But all right. Last thing before we sign off here. Rantanen trade. What did you think? Quick thoughts.
I think great trade for Carolina.
Yes.
I don't think they make that trade if Rantanen isn't going to re-sign. And honestly, even if he's on the fence about re-signing and he's not totally sure what he's going to do, I think after a few months of playing with Sebastian Aho, his countryman,
the good Sebastian Aho,
I think he'll be like, okay, I'll stay. So
yeah.
And if Rantanen stays and they have Rantanen and Aho and you still got Jordan Stahl there, you still got Seth Jarvis, like you got really good Svechnikov, like you still have
Jacob Slavin,
and
Anderson's back. Freddie Anderson's back from now.
Dane Gostisbehere, like you got a hell of a team.
I mean, I think that's a great winner move for that team, and I love making that move in January because that gives Rantanen more time to meld with the team. Like when they got Gensel last year, that was trade deadline, and Gensel's not why they lost in the playoffs, but like this gives them more time to meld into the team, build that chemistry and everything, which is like,
and build those relationships. And then next thing you know, like maybe that extra month and a half of being on the Hurricanes, he ends up becoming so close with his teammates. He's like, you know what? Fuck, I do want to stay here, So,
yeah. I will say though, Colorado, that's it's not the worst trade I've ever seen, but like, I don't love it for them.
Players. They got
good players.
Marty
I like Marty. I like Marty Necas. I like him a lot.
And I do believe in Jack Drury. I think he could be a good player. He's very young. Like he's still developing. So, but yeah, like it's one of those trades that like, like if I had to pick, I would say, Canes won the trade, but like the Avs got some good players too.
They got some good players, but I think, I don't know. I like this trade a lot more for the Hurricanes than I do for the Avs.
I agree. Absolutely.
But then again, like the Avs seemed pretty much like decided that he wasn't going to re-sign with them. So they kind of had to make it. It's a little surprising they wouldn't hold on a little longer. But again, you like a deal, you got to move forward on it. And they could have done a lot worse.
Yeah. Yeah. It's exciting. I want to see more trades like this.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Come on, Danny. Make it work. Make it happen, Captain. All right, folks. That's it. That's it. That's all there is. Thanks so much for listening. If you have any feedback for us, the best place is on social media, and the best place on there is on Blue Sky. Quigs, where can people find you on the sky?
Oh wow, you can find me at Ryan Quigs with a Z.
How about that? Ryan Quigs with a Z. You can find me at Flyperbole or at SD Bomb if it's for hockey purposes. Make it Flyperbole. And follow Flyperbole over on Instagram and TikTok. Follow BS Street, or no, not BSH Radio. Follow Broad Street Hockey and all that fun stuff. I'm getting loopy. It's time to get out of here. Thanks so much for listening. And until next time, in the words of the great Gene Hart, good night and good hockey. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow.